credits and the movie, and wow, thank you. I would like to bring up our guests tonight. We have Fred Elmes, we have Annie Dobrasher, and we have Jenny Sullivan to answer some questions. Come on, sit down, grab a microphone. This is, come on up, yeah, don't rush. So I would like to just open some questions here, and we'll have a little conversation amongst us, and then you guys, if you have any questions. And the subject that I would like to sort of approach this with is change. How did Catherine change you, knowing Catherine? And this is, I'm asking this question of a woman who sent me photographs of her and Catherine all over Hungary and all over Vienna, and they happened to be having I guess a celebration of the penis pictorially, and so...
I gotta tell it.
You tell it, please. Go,
we called it the penis series. This was, I didn't know, I was living in Hungary, and I didn't know that Catherine was of Hungarian descent. And she came to Hungary because the opportunity rose, and so we had an incredible time. She got recognized. They would say, Margaret? Is that Margaret? And we took a trip to Vienna, which is not far away. And in Vienna, they had this whole series of the male penis in a museum. I don't remember which one it was. And it was plastered all over Vienna, posters of penises. And she said, you got to take pictures of me in front of the penis. You just got to take them. And she had these fantastic sheepish grins, and I sent them out to Chris Moore and Bill, and she wanted everyone, she was posting them regularly before she knew Instagram, and it was phenomenal. I mean, this was a woman with a keen, brilliant sense of humor. You can see from the film. That was a highlight.
And how did she change you in your life?
How did she not change me? I mean, she changed me enormously. I've seen this is the second time I'm seeing the film, and I'm trying to catch my breath here because Catherine taught me about love. Catherine totally taught me about love. She taught me to love people and to see people for who they were, for who we each of us are. And I don't think it's ever been different for me. She was present, we know that, fully present. And she was there for every single detail, for every single birthday, right? For every single birthday, and she would say, I'm so glad you were born.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what a birthday celebration is about. She was endlessly energetic and attentive to every single one of us and loving of every single one of us. So we used to compete and think who was really her closest.
So who was the better friend between you? Yes.
Yeah.
We all,
Jenny Sullivan is our producer on this film. This film wouldn't have happened without Jenny's approval. She was our direct line to Zoe and to most of the people that are interviewed in the film, and wonderful guiding hand over a long period of time. So thank you. Tell me how Catherine changed you.
Oh my God, Richard. I think it's not change. I think what she brought out in you, adventure. If there was something to do, to go to, like I came here for 2 days, and she would say, well, why not? Why aren't you on the plane going to New York for 24 hours and seeing my film? That would be Catherine. It was just, as Lisa said, grasp life, just do it. And so I don't know if that was change, but definitely what she brought out the best in so many people. And there's some dear friends of hers here tonight, and I know that she had a really powerful impact on their lives. And it's hard not to have that every day.
Yeah.
I mean, talk every day to her.
I just want to add something, which is that she believed in you. She believed in every one of us. Fred said it, an advocate and a mentor. And I think we could all say she was our advocate and mentor, every one of us.
Yeah, I think for all of us on some level.
This is Fred Elmes, just legendary cinematographer. And so close to Catherine and David, and God, I've known you for over 50 years. Wow. So Fred, how did Catherine change you besides changing your lenses?
Oh, in so many ways. I think that, you really said it all. She really brought out the best in everyone. She saw the good in you, and she helped you nurture that, and she somehow did that for everyone, even those she didn't get along with necessarily. She kind of brought them around, showed the good side in them, and loved birthdays. I mean, birthdays were her all-time favorite thing, as you mentioned, and I don't know that she ever missed a birthday of mine. I mean, she was just so aware of it, and it being a little bit Hungarian on her mom's side, insisted on making a dobush torch, which is a special cake that has one layer for each year old you are, which gets to be pretty.
I'm glad I didn't know that, because when we first started designing the film, we were trying to figure out how we could sort of illustrate her lives through a tree, the rings of a tree. And if I'd known about the cake, I'd be another 30 pounds.
Yeah. She, now let's be clear.
Yes.
She did influence and there were times when you wanted to go, okay, enough, stop. Let's just slow down for a second. But it was, I just think, I love all the reference about her mom, because I think so much of that came from her mother.
Who we all called Mommy.
Yeah.
Mommy Coulson.
Mommy Coulson, and she was a glorious human being, and in many ways, Catherine, I think, taught us about seeing someone to the end, because she was flying down from Ashland to go see her mom all the time, whenever she had that moment, and so.
And watching over her dad too, as her dad
Well, yeah.
got older and had Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
What about some questions? Anybody have any questions for anybody up here?
I didn't know that she was an assistant film cinematographer, especially for Wrath of Khan, Star Trek. So could you talk a little bit about how she got that, and how we don't know too much about her vocation as a film person?
She was very proud of that. She started as an actor and was hired as an actor on Eraserhead and a helper in general, and then joined the camera crew, which was consisted of two people. Either Herb and she and Herb, or she and I. It was one of the things, along with Jack Nance's hair, that she styled for
Good job.
years. But as a camera assistant, she just shone. I mean, she was fabulous. She had a natural knack for it, and it's not just the technical part of changing a lens or threading the camera. It's really about standing next to the camera and realizing exactly that you're 8 feet and 9 inches away, and being able to set the dial, kind of by instinct. So it's a talent that she just had, and I would say on top of that, the presence of being that person standing next to the camera in front of the actors who are performing. She was particularly good at it, at being there and being invisible. She just was a natural at it, and after we finished Eraserhead, she and I worked on several Cassavetes films and other films together, and her career just shot forward. I was still doing smaller films and student films, and here she was doing the Wrath of Khan, with a full-on production and action. There's a very, very funny story. Catherine was a bit of an organizer, and on that film, the studio was worried about how long the film was getting. It wasn't being edited quite short enough for them, and they couldn't fit the extra show in in the schedule in theaters. They were going to lose money on the job, so they decided to cut the credits. They were going to cut the crew's credit name off the end of the film to save that 5 or 6 minutes so they could fit an extra show in. And there was a lot of unrest in the crew, and Catherine helped organize a letter that was circulated that everyone signed, saying, you know, we respect the studio's right to do this, but you may recall that we all signed a non-disclosure agreement saying that we would never speak a word about the script until after the film was released, but you can forget that. And they changed their minds.
When I first met Catherine, it was in Israel before Israel, we were working on a summer camp in 1984, and she was coming fresh off of filming with Farrah Fawcett, right?
Mm-hmm.
The burning bed, the burning.
Burning Bed.
Yeah, and she was known as a camera person. That was really what she was. I mean, she'd acted a lot, but that was when I first met her, and she was quite the splash in the whole country. It was really
No, she made a big mark that way.
Well, the other thing that happened with Eraserhead and then just went forward is she learned so much about all the technical stuff, but she also learned about producing. And she really produced several projects. And so it was her film school, basically.
But you want to talk about the umbilical cords?
You know, there's a longer version of this. We made a mini-series out of it. And there are so many of these stories like the umbilical cords. And yeah, we spent months. David describes Catherine, they needed umbilical cords for Eraserhead, and she went to UCLA and she gets the umbilical cords, and they put them in this wax, the way he describes it, this wax impregnated container. It was wax impregnated. You know, just David has his way. And came back with this, and we were, you know, it's very hard to find a wax impregnated container. We searched all over online. You couldn't find one to illustrate the scene. Questions, anybody? Yes.
If someone had a question, they can go ahead. So my question
Yes,
is,
go ahead.
How did this film come about?
Whoa, how did the film come about? I had produced a film called I Don't Know Jack. David Lynch presents I Don't Know Jack, a documentary about the star of Eraserhead, with Donna Dubane, who's also in our film and our first executive producer. And I had done Mulholland Drive with David and spent a little time with him at the Cannes Film Festival, because I had a couple of pictures in the market there. And when Catherine passed, I got a call that day from Donna Dubane, and telling me that, you know, Timmy had called her, she's not supposed to call her, everybody had signed a $6 million penalty NDA, that if they talked about this scene, they would have to pay $6 million. None of them had $6 million. But she told me about this, and and she told me that Catherine died a few days after shooting a scene, playing a character who was about to die. It just struck me as that's a movie. That's just a great story. I want to know more. And Twin Peaks hadn't come out yet. They were still even shooting it, and I thought, oh, this is going to be easy. I'll just, some Hollywood company is going to give me a bunch of money, and I can make this documentary, and it'll be really fun. And I thought it would be interesting. I knew Catherine since I was, I think, 20, but we were more like cousins in a big family. You know, we would see each other, we'd help each other when we could, but we didn't really know each other. She was not my best friend. I never had that privilege, which is one of the reasons I elected to eventually direct it, is I thought I could give it some perspective. So it didn't happen, and I was considering what to do with the chunk of change I got when I sold a house that I didn't really want to sell, and I thought that this was the best investment of my time. It was the best story that I knew. And I had this interview with David that we had done, and I had done the interview with the living room people, and I just decided to go all in. And I rented some studio space, and I put everything I owned toward the Kickstarter campaign, which We raised $300,000 just under in 30 days. And it was the interviews, nobody knew the whole story. There's 4 aspects of Catherine's life. There's on stage, 22 seasons at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, some of the best under the guidance of Bill Rausch over there, who now runs the PAC here in New York City. But on camera as the log lady, and behind the camera as First AC in all these places, and also in the community as a Rebbitzin. She married a rabbi, and the rabbi's wife is really the community liaison officer, the one who brings the chicken soup and the bread, as Rebbitzin.
You cut the piece out
Annie
in the
Dobrasher could tell. Yes.
You cut the piece out of the film where I said it was enviable how well she did the role.
She was really good at, yeah, you were jealous of how good she was at being Rebbitzin. One day we'll release this 3-part series, but that's was the motivation initially. Was this is a great story, let's tell it, and I can maybe have some success with this movie. But it changed me far more than I even influenced this. I didn't write the story. I didn't create the characters. I didn't write the dialogue. I put it together. I researched it. I did 2.5 years of interviews, 60 of them, 68 or something, and found what the story is and figured out a way to tell it. The linear 3-part, maybe it'll be 4 eventually, is wonderful and fun. One day that'll come out if this one finds its audience. But this part is the one that can tell the thrust of the story. So that's how it came about. Whatever motivations I had when I first started this film, my motivations are so aligned with the family and with the Twin Peaks fans and with people who didn't know anything about it. This is a great life. This is the best of us. This is what we all want to be. We all want to live it as richly and as fully and as honestly and authentically as we can, and be celebrated for it as much as possible. And spending 7 years editing some of the most eloquent, intelligent, insightful, and caring people's perspective of one of the most intelligent, caring people they knew has changed me. It's just upped my game about how I approach life. So I'm grateful for this opportunity, and to see it, with audiences now, and have the audiences appreciate it, for me is just, it's a great relief, because I haven't let these guys down, I guess. I'm not being waved off yet, so does anybody have another question? Yes, sir.
First of all, terrific job
Thank you.
telling that story and editing it, where you were juxtaposing the drama, the sadness with the comedy, and it was just done so well. And I wanted to, it really brought a real sense of humor in the storytelling there. And if you could just share any funny story or moment that wasn't on the screen, it just seems like she was so aware of her surroundings, and anything she could turn into something fun.
Funny moment in the last week.
Funny moments with
anything.
Catherine.
I've got a good one.
The IFC.
I've got a good one, a different story, and I'm gonna, for Chris Moore and Bill Rausch, Catherine was funny. Catherine was hilarious, and she kept the joke going for decades. And she teased and teased. But here's one that I loved. In the days of when you were doing the Daedalus project in Ashland, which was to raise money for organizations that were, working with AIDS and HIV, Catherine decided to buy thousands of condoms, and she had all of them printed with "All's Well," and then handed them out each time, and it was just the funniest thing.
Annie, you didn't ever see one in the proper state where it says all's well that ends
Oh,
well,
it said
but you
ends
gotta
well.
wait for that.
You've got "All's Well that ends well." Thank you.
Another question, anyone?
Oh, another bit of humor.
Yes.
I'm curious about those exterior shots at the opening of the film, in the woods. I'm wondering where those shots are from. Where did you
They are the North Fork of the Snoqualmie Trail that goes around the Snoqualmie waterfall that's featured in Twin Peaks. And we found it online, and I wrote to the people, and they said, yeah, give us a nice credit. You can use this, and we played with it a lot. There's it's been manipulated digitally and stuff, but it's beautiful. Somebody just walked around the 4.5 miles. If you you'd have to look at the credits. I don't remember exactly who it is, but you can actually go online and watch the whole walk, and they put all sorts of classical music behind it. It's pretty interesting.
Oh, nice. I love the bookend. It was really beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you all were so inspiring. It was so beautiful to watch. Thank you.
So I want to know what you guys are all doing. Fred, what are you up to these days?
Oh my gosh, staying busy. I just made a trip actually to speak about some of David Lynch's films as he just died a short time ago, and people at film festivals around the world have been eager to learn more about him and to see his films. So I went and spoke and answered questions, and that's been satisfying for me, having just lost him as well.
Jenny, what are you up to?
Oh my gosh. Flying
I want to be a talk show host, just like you want to
flying,
catch
yeah, I know. Flying around to wherever you're showing this movie. It's fun. No, I'm a theater director, so I'm about to start a project on next Tuesday in Santa Barbara. Yeah.
Excellent. Annie, Dobridge.
I've spent the last 5-ish years in Budapest and Brooklyn. Budapest in a project that my husband and I have worked on, which is a project of leadership within the evolving Jewish community in Warsaw and in Budapest. And of course, Budapest was where I was with Catherine as well. So I'm also in Brooklyn and have grandchildren, so that's a kind of a wonderful thing. So I float around a little bit and just try to appreciate life.
Another question, anyone? Yes, and a little bit in the back.
I thought it was interesting learning how close personally Catherine was with David Lynch. Having worked with him, how would you say working on his sets differed from other sets that you've been a part of?
Is that 5? One more question. Yeah. Okay. After this or this one?
We'll get one more after this.
You got it. Thank you.
Well, I will say, I volunteer that David's sets are pretty different than most sets. David really is pretty personally involved in most every aspect of making whatever project it is, whatever movie it is. From the details of the costumes and the art direction to, certainly the directing of the actors as well as the writing the script and so on. The whole tenor of the set is really set by him, by his outlook, his sense of humor, which combines both being absolutely dead serious about getting the project made his way and being inclusive with the crew's involvement and listening when someone has an idea. So it's a different atmosphere than most movies.
I actually have a quick story about when Kath and I went down to Mexico to visit you guys on the Dune set, which was a big production, and just in one of those little areas where you walk into the sound stage, there was a big pot that had like chicken parts in it. And she said something.
What's wrong with that?
And she said, "Oh, the difference between what we were doing and this is that you have somebody else cooking the chicken."
One last question. There was somebody up here, I thought. Yep, okay, go.
Go ahead.
Speak first.
I don't know if you all know, but I was curious maybe what some of Catherine's influences were for why she started acting in the first place, or if she had ever mentioned anything that she was really a fan of while she was working.
I'd like to take that brief part of it, because it relates back to this other question. I have the belief, it's not founded on anything other than the interviews that I did, that David was influenced by Catherine's approach, because she was at 6 years old. She was doing radio with her dad, right? And he was the head of PR at Disneyland. She grew up playing these roles, interacting directly with the public, one-on-one in character. And then the family took over the Aunt Jemima Pancake House, which was, the whole philosophy was make people happy. It's Disneyland, right? And you see picture, there's all of her friends her age from school, and her mother and father and Aunt Jemima. So I think her attitude, which is very much of a theater attitude. Theater, there's a real equality. Everybody has to be there. You can't run the show unless everybody's there, because it'll fall apart. It's this temporal, effort. And I think that all that training and that welcomingness, that inclusiveness, and I've never asked Fred this, you may tell me I'm full of shit here, but I believe that she brought that and David picked it up, and that's why he was so beloved by every actor I've ever talked to that worked with him.
Well, I think it's probably both, but I think Jenny's the one that knows Catherine.
Okay, this is it, guys. Are you ready? This is the answer. You gotta clear this
Am I
room.
wrong?
Well, myself and Timmy, Timmy brought her into theater really a lot, and then got her to go up to San Francisco. We met at San Francisco State in a musical, and so it was in her bones to be part of a company of people. And whenever you get that feel, I know what it's like with a theater company, but when you're able to get that on a film set, it's just gold, and I'm sure she brought that to.
Well, I think to everything she worked on,
Yeah.
really, because it had to do with uniting the crew, uniting the group of people working together, with the notion that you're all in it together, that you really are working on the same project, and whether you're behind the camera or in front of the camera really doesn't matter. You all count, and Catherine brought that.
I would add one thing, and this will be our last note. So does the audience, and I think they both knew that.
Mhm.
The audience counts as well.
Well, and certainly, yes, it's in my experience, Catherine was ever so aware of the audience and who she was performing for, as was David Lynch, who really had a sense of the audience and how they would appreciate what he was doing.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Eric, for this opportunity to show our film and talk to the audience. Thank you all.